Yeah, so I'm Avaer. I've been doing this stuff for a great many years, probably like since around 2016, since I was bitten by the VR bug. Shortly after, I was bitten by the crypto bug and the NFT craze, and then more recently, I've been bitten by the AI bug. Like kind of following all the cool trends, I guess. I don't know if that makes me cool, but yeah, I'm also like one of the founders of M3. But so far, it's just been amazing to see how Jin has carried the torch of like pretty much the vision that we set out. Honestly, like bravo. But today, I just wanted to talk about Upstreet, which is kind of like the latest incarnation of the stuff that I've been working on. Demo is actually out. You can check it out at upstreet.ai. It's actually working in multiplayer, and I recently got voice chat working. If you see me around, I'm probably wearing my silly avatar. It's the character that I'm wearing right now. She has many incarnations. Yeah, some cool logo concepts that we had for Upstreet as well. So yeah, basically, what can you see at Upstreet.ai? It's basically a multiplayer demo, plus a single player demo, plus a generative agents SDK, plus an in development kind of build that you can test out new features in. But right now, you can just run around, um, see other people's avatars. It's not documented, but if you drag and drop your VRM, you can actually wear it, and other people are going to see it. And there's in-world voice chat that I just got fixed last night. And there's a bunch of in-world beta apps that you can talk to in the in-dev mode, where you basically can highlight an AI and talk to them. So what did it take to make the multiplayer tech work? It's actually, I think, much more impressive than you'll be able to see right now. But basically, it's an infinitely scalable multiplayer server instance. It runs on Cloudflare workers, um, and it's basically sharded out based on the chunks of the world that you're in. So you can actually run it locally, but the cool thing is when you run it remotely, you basically have infinite scaling. And as you walk out into the world, and as you meet, as you kind of get into range of other players, they're going to pop in and out of existence. So this is kind of like M2 Tech, and I'm hoping to just drop this as open source so that anybody can use it in their own implementations. Well, the voice chat works over WebSockets, and there's text chat that I'm fixing right now. The cool thing about the text chat is it's actually integrated with all the AIs in the world. So the AIs actually have perception over everything that's around them. And so you can basically ask them, hey, like, can you lead me to like the nearest tree? And then they'll know where that is. So just some cool stuff that we're experimenting with. And hopefully we're all going to be able to do this in multiplayer and configure the personalities of our AIs, drag and drop and so on. But I'll get to that in a second. And so some of the motivations that kind of just drive me, I think I'm just doing this for fun and research at this point. I'm not making any money off of this. I just want this to exist. But there's some like real prescient, real world motivations that I have as well, which is that it turns out that if you've been following the research with like generative agents and all these AI papers that have been dropping, it turns out that it seems that the metaverse might be the path to AGI. Um, if you have multiple agents interacting in a world with real world simulated kind of human interactions, they actually superiorly outperform basically single agent systems and single agent LLMs, large language models, if you know what that is. So it turns out that like building the metaverse might actually be the path to basically solving the entire world's problems, but kind of getting ahead of myself. I don't think I'm the only person that is having these thoughts though, because OpenAI just recently acquired Global Illumination, which is a company that was making kind of like an open source version of Webverse without a lot of like the VRM features. They were kind of like Minecraft based. But OpenAI literally just acquired them, and I think it's reasonable to assume that OpenAI themselves are into metaverse research at this point. Same, of course, with Marky Mark. He's making his own metaverse. But the problem with all these other implementations, they're so corporate and they're all so locked up. So OpenAI is probably not going to make it like an open source metaverse. And Mark, despite dropping a whole bunch of really cool AIs like with Llama 2, especially since now anybody can use it, like despite that fact, I still don't think that they're building the kind of metaverse that I want to live in. And I would say kind of similar things for On Cyber or DCL. Like it's very locked down. It's not open source in a lot of cases, like DCL is, but it's just not. In a lot of these cases, it's just not fun, and I don't feel like it's built with heart at the forefront. It's built with money at the forefront, and I'd rather just build something that I would just want to play, like Fortnite, Craftopia, Danganronpa, whatever it is. Start with that, and then just make something that's really fun to use and build it with the community. Basically, what I want to do over like the next like short period is to build back the street, kind of the stuff that I wanted to do with Webverse. So that's like land claims, making all the pass holders whole, people who got a Genesis pass and kind of like believed in the vision. There's a lot of stuff that I want to release that's basically ready to go. It just needs a framework for doing it, like wearables, pets, vehicles, mobs, mining, NPCs. I think a lot of the stuff that made its way into Hyperfy in some form. I think I have some different ideas of how to do that in kind of a more MMO context, but I'd love to be able to ship it. This is stuff that's basically been in the works for the last 2 years, and I'm just really glad that I'm able to deliver it to some audience that kind of thinks it's cool. So can we get back onto the rails? I'd like to think so. I want to do right by the community that kind of invested in me, and basically get Upstreet back on track, kind of the original vision. Probably want to do land claims. We're trying to figure out what that means with some of the current holders and some of the people that have been joining the streams. And hopefully with land claims, once you can kind of drop into the world and like claim a piece of land, depending on how that's done, whether with Genesis pass holders or we do another mint or something like that, then we might be able to enable feature voting with like a proper DAO, get everything into a proper multi-sig wallet, and make sure that whatever happened like with Webverse doesn't happen again. Also, with the ability to deploy land, I'd love to get some other people's content in here. We already have drag and drop VRMs, so that's a nice start. But I mean, there's tons of things that people build not only for like Webverse, but also like for Hyperfy that I'd love to be able to just drag and drop into the world once you have a piece of land. Or maybe a home space, or we're still trying to figure out what the spatial dimensions of all this is going to be. And of course, in gameplay, I think none of this like really captures my attention as much as being able to play a game with people. That's also just like VGC. It's kind of like my dream to make that reality. But for now, I'm just a volunteer, and I'm always looking for suggestions. I've been streaming for like the last couple of weeks in the M3 Discord, just having a blast and just listening to what people think. It's been really fun, and if you want to join, like anytime, I'm down. We had some interesting names for what we want to call this world or whatever, like maybe Metaverse. That was a cool one suggested by ChatGPT, like virtually embodied real-time immersive simulation. But the idea is kind of just like an infinite canvas that you can play, like an MMO or like a street, depending on how you want to think about the dimensions. But basically, a game world for humans and AIs to interact and kind of work together, or a game that you can watch, because with all these AI features that are coming in, you have basically a chat system, so you can chat to any AI in the world, and you don't even have to say anything. You can just select from the options that are coming in. Of course, you can talk to them as well. There's text to speech and speech to text. There's pathfinding along the world, so they understand everything that's happening inside of the scene. And yeah, we're trying to piece all this together. Hopefully, in the future, it can be just a game that learns. Like even if you're not in the game, then the game still exists without you. Moon Shaw, I'm not sure if he's here, but he dropped a really cool thing. In like 2 days, he made an agent SDK that basically plugs into the interaction system with chat, except you can basically run your own private agents like Llama or AutoGPT or any one of these systems and just plug them into the game world and become a character in the world. I think that's super cool. It's available on GitHub. It's already open source. It just basically plugs into the world with a dumb agent right now, but there's a bunch of other integrations coming out with like Magic and other frameworks. So right now there's a JS and Python version, courtesy of ChatGPT. Hopefully more languages in the future. Open source, and yeah, hopefully people can inject their own personalities into this game world that we're kind of trying to build. There's other cool stuff that we've built that's kind of in line with the agent SDK, like the companion stuff, which ended up being used in MOEM 8. If you've seen that. There's also a bit of work that we did kind of plugging Jin's ideas into training the AIs on M3 data. So we actually have a training pipeline now that can ingest basically any HackMD as well as images and do like image processing on them. Ingest them into a vector database to have AIs trained on essentially any AI that you like. And hopefully, like in the future, this can evolve into something like maybe a Jedi Council, where if you have a problem or like you want advice from somebody wiser than you, like an AI, you can kind of come in, talk to them, and they're trained on all the data that you'd be interested in, and they'll give you advice. Moon also did some awesome stuff with AutoGPT and like coding AIs. So we actually had to train our coding kind of companion working on Twitch, and basically she'll code anything that you ask for in the chat. It's kind of janky right now, but I think it's a super promising way of developing these systems. And also, like a lot of what I've done over the last 6 months is kind of explore what's possible with generative AI, and it seems like at this point, pretty much any part of a game, like if you don't know how to build that part, like whether that's audio, like with music gen, or you don't know how to do like 3D art, like there's ways to do scenes with Blockade Labs. And at this point, even if you generate something with Midjourney, you can do a depth-based reprojection of that, and basically create scenes out of nothing, just a text prompt. Same with characters. And also, there's real-time AIs that allow you to perceive what's happening in the world. So I showed some of that in some of the other screenshots, but basically the AIs basically now have eyes, and they're able to tell that they're looking at a doorway and they should go there if, like, you tell them, hey, let's go to the next room or whatever. A lot of that's also being borne out in the research by like more official people than me, like the generative agents folks who are from Google. We're basically saying it like, yeah, if you build your systems this way, like it brings us closer and closer to AGI. Like we're actually solving real world problems with these systems. They turn out to outperform just single agent systems. So I'm just really excited about the future of generative AI in general. But I'm not making any promises here. I'm just like part of a group of peeps with hopes and dreams. Um, I'm not really sure where to get started or where to go next, but a lot of people had interesting ideas of how to like mint land and how to deploy their own content. We have a Discord, and I've been streaming basically every day, almost all day. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's me, and there's the Discord link. Um, so yeah, thank you. I guess into the future is like, where's this headed? Uh, Hopefully with Vision Pro, like all this can just work in AR. With Mud, they have some really interesting ideas for how to like put these kinds of games on chain. I think we're going to get to AGI agents at some point this decade. It's really not clear to me how, but I just hope that it's an open implementation, and I hope that I can contribute in some way. But yeah, thank you. If there's any questions, I'll take them either here or in Discord later.
There are. It's any plans on making a VR version of this or already in the works?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think WebXR works. There might be like one or two crashes, but it's pretty close. It's just a matter for me of basically prioritizing all the different features because there's a million things that I can do, and I'm basically a single dev at this point. Um, Hopefully, once we can do like some land claims and some sort of token mechanism where people can have a say and have some sort of weighted vote for features, then we can just drop that into like D work and a DAO. And yeah, WebXR like honestly would take me like one or two days.